Hey community, it's Mandy and I am here with comedian Andrew Stanley, and he will be joining us on Friday, October 11th. We really hope you guys will join us, and so we just wanted to take a few minutes and ask him a couple questions so that you get to know a little bit more about him and about his comedy.
I had it down as November 11th, so I'm going to have to check my calendar to make sure I can still make it.
It's not funny. It's not funny. When did you first realize, like, I might actually be pretty funny? Like, I might be able to do this as, like, a full-time thing?
I don't know. I go back and forth still if I can do this. But I always thought I was funny. I was never the class clown, but I think I was funny to, like, my close friends. Mm-hmm. And I never thought I would do stand-up. I thought I'd be like a comedy writer, maybe. I was in corporate finance, and it was fine, but I didn't feel like it was what I'm supposed to be doing forever. And so I started trying to figure out how to do comedy writing, and kind of came in the back door of stand-up just from trying to write jokes, and then started saying them on stage, and then I started to really love that and totally kind of got rid of the writing ambition and really focused on stand-up. And then a few years later, I was doing it full time.
That's so fun.
So you just start doing what you like, and it might become a job. That's what I learned. So be careful what you do.
No, I think that's great. So whenever you're working out, like, jokes and stuff like that, who's like the first person that you're going to be like, hey, I'm working this thing out, I want you to hear it?
Yeah, a lot of times it'll be my wife while she's like brushing her teeth. And she's the harshest, so I know if she likes it, I'm like, all right, we got something. And if she doesn't like it, I'm like, I'll try it anyway.
We'll flesh it out, yeah.
And then you go, I get to come do fun, big shows like I'm going to do with you guys. But then, like, last night I was over across the street at the Laughing Skull Lounge open mic, where you get 4 minutes to try new stuff. And that's where you take those brand new ideas where the stakes are kind of low. People aren't paying to come see you specifically. So you're like, all right, you get to hear some new stuff. And you try it, then you try it again and again and again, and you whittle it down, and eventually, hopefully, it becomes good.
You do what we would probably call clean comedy, right? So
does this need to be a clean show?
It would be preferential.
All right. How long does it? How long do I have to do?
How much material you got for a clean show?
How clean are we talking? No, I'm a clean comedian. There's very few things that I wouldn't do, like at a church.
Okay, great.
And it depends on the church.
Yeah. Okay.
I've learned a lot of churches have different definitions of clean.
Community's pretty,
Yeah.
We're pretty open.
Pretty cool.
As a congregation, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people will be like, hey,
cool.
are you family friendly? And I say, it depends on the family.
Yeah,
like,
that
I don't
is
know.
also
What does that even mean either?
Well, speaking of family, you come from a long line of really great communicators. So
Yes.
when you are on the stage and doing comedy, I would definitely say that that's a form, obviously, of communication. Is there something that, like, you like to communicate through comedy, like a bottom line whenever you're on stage?
Yeah, people ask me a lot, like, does coming from, like, a preacher family affect how you do stand-up? And I always say, I think it's such an advantage, not just to be in a preacher family, but I think people that grow up in church and are used to going on Sundays and hearing somebody get on stage and talk for 30, 40, 50 minutes, sometimes twice a Sunday or 3 times a Sunday if the preacher's good. You get to see what good communication looks like, and then you also kind of sometimes learn what bad communication looks like. And even though it's a completely different thing, it has helped me kind of know some of the things, like, hey, it's not good when you do that. Hey, don't sway when you're talking. Don't talk too fast. And so I think it's helped. But to answer your real question, what I'm trying to communicate, I don't have like a big message, and maybe I'll develop into one of those comedians that can have a theme they talk about for a whole hour, and then it has a positive takeaway. I love those comedians, but what I'm really trying to do is tell stories, tell jokes, and just make people have a great night. So there's no, don't expect a message from me. I'm not gonna, if you feel convicted after my stand-up act, something's going on.
So does life just kind of give you these opportunities to, like, make things funny, or is it actually take a lot of, like, it would be funny kind of scenarios?
I think it's of course it's both. Like, when you start doing stand-up, you start to live your life with a little bit of, like, an extra filter on it, where you're kind of always looking for the funny in things. Yeah. Which can be dangerous, because some things you shouldn't try to make funny. But when you're a comedian, your brain gets a little bit broken into just trying to make everything funny. And you find material that way because you're going through life with kind of that lens of, how is this funny? Oh, this could be a funny story. Or, oh, that's happening. What if that happen? And so you're kind of broken a little bit in that way, but it leads to, material coming out. But then also sometimes I'm sitting in front of a blank piece of paper trying to think, all right, what's funny? And that's way harder than if you already have thought of some stuff that you want to write about. Because sitting in front of an open page and just being like, what should I write about today is painful. And it's important to still do, but it's way better if you can find inspiration somewhere.
And that's like the job though, yeah? Like you said that you did corporate America for a while, but now this is like what you do full time. So like, do you feel like there's some like pressure to be funny sometimes? Because it's like...
Yeah, people expect me to be, people know I'm a comedian, they expect me to be funny all the time. If I'm on a flight and the person next to me is like, what do you do?
You're like,
most of the time I just lie. I just say I'm still a budget analyst because there's way less follow-up questions and no one ever asked me to tell a joke. If I say stand-up comedian, they're like, oh, I'd like to talk to you this whole flight now. And not always.
It does immediately make you more interesting. Like I'm a comedian. I find things funny. I make people laugh.
It is, but it's such a letdown when people are like, oh, a comedian. I'm about to have a funny, fun conversation with this guy. And then I'm just like, I'd rather just talk to you or put my headphones on.
There you go. Well, okay, so we are going to see on October 11th.
Got
okay?
it, yeah.
All right.
Got it, I got it on my calendar. Very organized.
Yep. On October 11th, we're going to see some of these jokes for the first time, but you've had to say them multiple times. How do you kind of keep things, just the same kind of punch week to week?
Yeah, it is funny. Like, some of these jokes I've been doing since they're versions of things I started with, and they've evolved, and, sorry, church print, I'm supposed to say evolved. But they've grown as time has gone on. And, naturally I select, no, I probably shouldn't say it either. They've grown with time, so they've been with me since the beginning, and then I have stuff that I've been working on this month. And when I'm coming in to do a big show like this one, I'm not going to bring in any untested things, because I'm going to be bringing my best. But I do have to be careful sometimes. If I'm doing a joke that I can do in my sleep, I'll be on stage sometimes and I'll catch myself on autopilot. And I'll be like, I'm telling this one, but I'm thinking about dinner.
Yeah.
And so staying present is really important for me because you find new things and new ways to take things if you're present as you're talking. But it's fun. Even the old stuff, if I'm still doing it, it's because I love it and it's going well. And I'm taping my comedy special in February.
Super exciting.
Bucket Theater, February 1st. So if you like our show in October, come buy tickets to come see me here in February. But I'm really working on a lot of that material. So that's like going to be 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm really focused on even the old stuff, really refining it, really getting it to be the best version that it can be so that when it's taped and put somewhere forever, I'm still proud of it and not like, I wish I had thought of that one more thing. So
we'll be getting, this like, I'm polishing it up,
Yeah,
like,
and it's pretty much, if we were taping next week, I wouldn't be worried. So it's pretty, it's pretty polished, but I'll be accepting notes after the show if you're like, hey man, that one was funny. But what I love is when random, usually very old men, come up to me after shows and are like, I got a joke for you. So if you guys could do a bunch of that'd be awesome.
We got you.
Get your oldest men to come back to the green room would be great.
Or like the sweet Southern ladies that, will, they'll bless your hearts and, like it'll be feedback. But
the sweet older ladies are always like, I think they're coming to give me a compliment and they're just like, oh, we love your grandfather.
You'll probably see a lot. Maybe you'll get some of that.
So many times I think I'm about to get a compliment and it's just like, your grandfather saved my life. I'm just like, that's great, but not why I'm here.
But, but it's great. Okay. Oh, who are some of your, like, maybe comedy icons or inspirations, like people who growing up you were just like, man, they're really funny?
Yeah, totally. And growing up for me, like I remember the CDs I had in my Walkman of stand-up. I think I had two really, and it was Brian Regan, his first album, Brian Regan Live, which is like the best. The big so yellow good. One is the sun.
Yes.
Snow cone, all the
may
the
be the few people who get some of these.
Well, if you haven't heard Brian Regan,
so
wait till after me, so you're not listening to one of the best albums of all time, and then coming to see me. But as soon as I'm off stage, run to listen to Brian Regan live.
So good.
I just remember listened to it 100 times, and I actually just went and saw him when he was here at the Bucket Theater. He's still doing it.
Still doing it.
And then Jeff Foxworthy, an Atlanta guy that's, one of the most successful, popular comedians of all time, and clean and unique, and so listened to him a lot growing up. And then when I was starting stand-up, I was listening to this guy named Nate Bargatze a lot.
Love Nate.
And he, at the time, was known, but, people would ask me who my favorite comedians are, and I'd say Nate Bargatze, and they'd just be like, who else? Anybody I've heard of? And then, of course, in the last 5 years, he's become a arena act. Really
blown up. I think that the thing about doing clean versions of comedy is that you have a broader demographic, right? Because I don't know. I know there's the term safe, but you can speak into all different arenas of comedy.
Yeah, and and you don't want to be too broad where it's like everybody likes me, because then you're not doing anything original. But guys like Nate and Brian Regan and Jeff Foxworthy, they found a way to be really appealing to huge groups of people, to where you can bring your grandparents and your kids and not feel like this is risky.
Yeah.
But also having such a unique, cool voice, and that's definitely a goal of mine, is to have material that's not going to make anybody embarrassed that they came to the show or brought somebody to the show, but also not be so generic that it's just anybody could have told those jokes and they would have worked the same as if Andrew told them. So I really admire those three guys and more, but it's cool to see people that are able to, like you said, make it widely appealing, but also do exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and have their styles for sure.
Yeah.
That's really just fun. And we, again, are just really excited that you'll be joining us, that we get to kind of see what your style is. Again, I know just for James and I, we have gotten to see you at a couple different conferences and everything. And when they were talking about doing that, they were like, we want to do a comedy. We're like, can we get
I'm so glad.
So we really enjoy your style. We're excited for our community to get to know just your style of comedy. And so we really appreciate that you took some time to sit with us and just let us kind of share more about you with them. And just, of course, we want to make sure that we do not miss the opportunity to invite you to come out on Friday, October 11th at 7 p.m. at Community to join us. And also, you have an opener.
Yeah, you guys are honestly.
A little bit about your opener?
His name's Mandel, short for Man Sandal, and honestly, I should not bring him to open for me because he's so hard to follow. He's so funny. He's had a really good year. He did the Netflix as a Joke Festival. He's on Netflix radio. He's open for John Mulaney some. He's on the road with all these comedians. I'm so happy he was available, and y'all are gonna love him.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a really fun night.
It's
gonna be great.
We're excited. So we hope you guys will join us. And I guess that is what we've got. Okay, thanks.
I thought that was great.
Thanks. Thank you.
You nailed it.